Hi, kindergarten, first and second grade leaders. We're preparing for our new series, Short Stories, starting on September 27th. This week, we're also moving to phase 2, and so we will be doing all small groups all of the time. You will be back in your small group spaces for your small group time per grade level. And I'm excited for this. I hope that this will be a time where you really get to know your kids. I kind of encourage you, as we've seen the last few weeks, to try to encourage the kids, and if you need to be a little bit more stern, it's okay, that we're here because we want to learn about Jesus. And so playing games and doing those things are a great thing, and we want for them to have fun while they're with us. But we also want for them to pay attention to the Bible story. We want for them to be a part of the discussion and the activities we do in small group. So since you have your space, you, I pray, have a little different kind of control of your group as well. If you need any help, please just wave at me. I'd be happy to. I don't jump in a lot of times because I don't want to assume that you're not, that it's that everything is out of whack. I want for you to know that you have control of that group. But if you need some help, please, please, please wave to me through the door or text me, and I'd be happy to help you. In our lesson and in this series, we're going to be taking a look at short stories or Jesus's teachings to help us know how to live as a Christian. He taught in this first one on the Sermon on the Mount, and I've been to that place in Israel, and it's such an amazing thing to think about. Jesus just standing there on the shores of the Sea of Galilee as people gather and gather and gather on this hillside. And he just starts teaching, and he uses stories like they're used to hearing, but also using things that they do every day to try to help them understand what he's teaching. And so in this series, what we're going to be taking a look at is different things that Jesus teaches throughout his ministry life to try to help us know what it's like to be a Christian. This is assuming you are already a believer. What now do you do? How do you live? How do you expect things to happen around you? And so that's what we're getting to in these lessons in this series. You'll have your large group DVD with all of that pre-recorded for you. And so that should help you as you're leading your discussion. I really encourage you to try all of the activities in your leader guide. They're written for a purpose, not just time fillers, but it does help the kids understand what we're learning in the Bible story today. So your first activity is a fun game, and I can't wait to watch some of the kids do this. It's called Sturdy Birdie, and each of you will have a game box that has all of the supplies in it. Read the instructions in there. It should be a really easy game for the kids to play, and then try to get all your pieces back in your box because you'll be playing this throughout the whole 9 weeks of this series. Then you'll watch your large group video, and after your large group video is done, you are going to set up a little illustration. Jesus taught that all scripture is about him, and he said that there's 2 gates, one narrow and one wide. And he said that the wide gate leads to destruction and the narrow gate to life. In other words, when we set up goals and to try to go through, I'm holding it out as far as I can and still be on the camera, but you get the idea. It should be really wide gate. When we go through the wide gate, that is probably easier. There are things that are easier about going through the wide gate, but it's also where Jesus is teaching anyone can go through that. But he calls believers and people who believe in Jesus to do different, and that would be the narrow gate. And so I would encourage you just to set your goal up enough to where your ball could just go through the narrow gate. So what you're going to do is set it up like a soccer kind of thing in your room, with a narrow gate and a wide gate, and play where the kids get points, but they get more points for going through the narrow gate than they do through the wide gate, as Jesus taught in the lesson today. And then after that, I would go to your discussion questions. Your discussion questions and kind of focus on the middle two questions. Why does God care so much about what's in our heart? Why does he care that we pay attention to the wide and the narrow? And why are things different in God's kingdom than in the worldly kingdom? For sure, from this story today, the wide gate is the worldly kingdom. The narrow gate is God's kingdom. And talk about that and have a great discussion. I know your little ones can even have that discussion. So if you need a little hint on how to help discussion happen without everybody trying to talk over each other, use your ball, or you can bring a special thing that means something to your small group. And the person holding that thing gets to talk, and only gets to talk if they're holding that thing. So that means that everyone has a cue of how to talk and when we can talk and when we can talk over each other. And your kindergartners, they may need you to continually redirect them toward this, that we're going to give everyone a chance to talk. So right now we're going to listen to Sammy because he is holding the ball. And so that is an easy way to manage your group and to also help the kids learn to take turns in discussion, because we can't discuss something if we're not listening to everybody else. And your littler ones are really good at talking over each other at times. All right, and then your memory verse activity. What you're going to do is tape a line on the floor and set up your ping pong balls and cups, and you're going to kind of set it up in a like bowling pins, and the kids are going to try to bounce the balls into the cups if they can say the whole memory verse. Now, this is the first time that they're seeing the memory verse, so they may not be able to say it without you helping prompt them. So give them a few words and then give them the chance to bounce the ball. But in the next few weeks, hopefully those words are beginning to sink in if you're having a regular group of kids, and they'll be able to do this without having you prompt the words. And then you can pray, and you also have coloring pages. I encourage you to use every minute during your small group time to build relationships with your kids. I know that you guys have loved having small group time in your own space, and I'm excited to bring you back to that, and that our community transmission is low. Please wear your face masks as you're coming and going, and we'll continue to do our screening before you get here. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. I look forward to hearing from you guys soon.